Good morning, good morning. I'm still continuing with grade 11 geomorphology. Now I'm moving on to slopes. 2.5 below refers, which shows the typical slope elements and forms associated with the slopes. So when we talk about the slope elements, what comes to your mind is things such as the crest. We have got the crest here. We have got the crest. What else do we have? We have got the cliff. These are some of the things that comes to your mind. We have got the talus. Then we have got the pediment. The pediment. So these are the different slope elements that we have. So you have to be aware of it. What makes up the crest, what makes up the cliff, what makes up the talus, and what also makes up the pediment. That's what you need to familiarize yourself with before we move on to answer the question. Let's talk about the different types of elements that makes up our slope. Okay, so a slope, of course, in terms of slope, we are referring to the steepness or the gentleness of the landscape. Of course, that's what slope is all about. So when you talk about the crest now, it is found at the top. You can see it is found at the top, okay, of the slope, which could be a mountain or a hill. It is found at the top of a slope, which can be a mountain or a hill. That's why we see here, we are pointing here. It is convex in shape because material on the edge will move down under the influence of gravity, of course. So we're saying that still under the crest, the soil creep and weathering occurs on this slope under the force of gravity. That's where everything happens, under the force of gravity. Okay, that is your crest. Then when it comes now to your cliff, think about it's also known as a free face. It's also known as a free face. It's also known as a free face. We can also call it a scarp, which means what you know about the scarp is steep. So this is part of your cliff, your scarp, your free face is the same thing. So it is the steep vertical slope formed by resistant rock. This is formed by resistant rock. Remember, this is the top part. This is formed by resistant rock. So it means it takes time to erode. That's basically what it means. It takes time to erode. It's not easily eroded. It takes time to be eroded. It's a scarp slope. It's a free face. It's made up of the steep vertical slope formed by resistant rock. Okay, erosion actively occurs, causing the rock force. You can have rock force here on the cliff slope. Of course, it's a resistant rock. Remember, this rock sometimes they're exposed to high and low temperatures, which means at some point expansion and contraction will loosen the rock, causing them to form. That's basically why we're saying it is where we also have rock falls. Then we have the talus. This is your talus now. What do you have within the talus? That's when we have got the debris. That's also where we have got the scree slope. Of course, we have got most of the debris. What has been weathered here on the cliff, it falls on the talus. That's basically what we are talking about. It is a uniform slope formed at an angle of 20 degrees to 35. Debris from the crest, okay, and from the crest and cliff accumulates here. Whatever has been weathered from the cliff, from here, it rests on the talus. Whatever has been weathered here on the free face or the cliff or on the crest, you find it resting on the talus. That's basically what we're talking about. It refers to as the constant slope because it retreats parallel to the original slope. Okay. The sharp break on the angle between the talus and pediment is called a neck point. Of course, the sharp break in terms of angle, that's what we call a neck point. Then we have what lastly here, the pediment. What do we have in the pediment? Obviously, it's more gentle. It's a flat slope found at the base with an angle of 1 to 7 degrees. It's slightly concave in shape. You can see why it looks. Sometimes 3-layer it covers of covered of weathered material. That is your pediment. It is ideal for farming. You can see because it is gentle. It also have alluviums. Okay. Because of gentle slope, water does not run easily and accumulation of fertile soils. That's basically what we are saying. This is more suitable for farming. This is more suitable for agriculture. You can see it at the base and it's more flat. It's more gentle. Okay, let's move on now. I've already answered number 2.5.1. That's the good thing about exploring a concept before you attempt to answer any question. So identify the slope elements forms labeled A, B, C, and D. So we are saying now this is the crest, A, B is the cliff or free face or scarp, then C is the talus, then D is the pediment. That's basically what this is all about. So give characteristics of each of the slope elements forms labeled A and B. I've already talked about that, but I'll do it again. So the crest is found at the top of the slope, which could be a mountain or a hill. So this is where a crest is formed. This is a characteristics in top of the slope, which can be a mountain or a hill. The source creep and weathering occurs in this slope under the force of gravity. I've given some characteristics there. Of course, I'm supposed to give one, I've given two. Then also, when it comes now to C, which is your talus, we are saying now debris from the crest and the cliff. Debris from the cliff, from the crest and the cliff, it accumulates on the talus. Okay, debris from the crest and the cliff accumulates on the talus. Therefore, deposition is the main activity. There is more deposition that is taking place from what has been the way that material debris from the crest and the scarp, so it falls on your talus. Okay, this is referred to as a constant slope because it retreats parallel to the original slope. So those are some of the things that you can actually talk about. This is just too much. Let me not waste my time there. Which slope element is best suitable for farming? Remember, we said it's the pediment. It's the pediment. The reason being that when you look at our pediment, what is it that happened within the pediment? Of course, it is gentle, it is flat, it is ideal for the use of machinery. The construction of infrastructure is also easy and cheap. So those are the reasons. Then you get your mark there. Slope provide a valuable piece of land for mankind. Discuss the significance of slopes for humanity. Okay, what is the importance? That's what we mean by significance of slopes for human activity. What is the importance? So slopes are tourist attractions. Okay, we can have adrenaline sport being practiced there, which means slopes are tourist attraction. People, those ones who are interested in mountain climbing, they can come, they can climb on the cliff, of course, until they reach the crest. So basically, we're saying slopes are tourist attraction. Adrenaline sport is also practiced there. It also weathers away to form fertile soils. We are saying what we have here is falling on the talus and later on the pediment. So this is how we end up having the fertile soils on the pediment, which is ideal for farming. We are also saying that recreational activities can actually take place there, like your hiking, mountain climbing. Those are some of the things that can actually take place there on the cliff or on free face. Then what else? Forestry is practiced in those steeper slopes. Okay, the steeper slopes, there's forestry there. Of course, flat areas are suitable for farming. These are some of the importance or significance of these landscapes to human activity. These are some of the significance. So boys and girls, I think I have done grade 11, paper 1. I would say I covered atmosphere. I also covered geomorphology, where I looked at slopes, where I looked at tores, where I looked at mass movement, and the other topics. Please, if you have got any questions, comment on just comment on the video, then we take it from there. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.